Hi guys, and welcome back to another VGC 2019 Sun Series Pokemon guide, and in today's guide we're going to be looking at the Dragon Ghost type from the Platinum, Pearl and Diamond series Giratina. So before we jump into anything, just to remind you guys, if you haven't checked out any of the other guides in this series already, you can check them out. I'll link it in the playlist, which should be in the top right hand corner now. You can hop over there, check out things like Kyogre, Groudon, Xerneas, Yveltal, Dialga, Palkia. Oh, we've done so many so far, so it's been a lot of fun. Do go and check the other guides out, and I hope you are enjoying this series. So let's jump into it then, guys. So starting off, Giratina. Let's take a quick overview of the original form, because there are two forms to Giratina, so we'll start with the first one. It's going to be type Dragon and Ghost, like we've already mentioned. It's got the ability Pressure, got a base stat total of 680 with distribution of 150 HP, 100 attack, 120 defense, 100 special attack, 120 special defense and 90 speed. Nice distribution there. Big ones that stand out are obviously that huge HP number, 150 HP, and then combined with those defensive stats, 120 on each defense and special defense, just making it a really strong defensive Pokemon. And you know, its attack and its special attack are nothing to scoff at either. There's a base 100 attack stats. Especially with those stab type moves, we'll be doing a lot of damage if invested right, and we've got that generic kind of restricted Pokemon speed stat of 90. So with the Ghost and Dragon typing, we obviously have weaknesses to Ghost, Ice, Dragon, Dark and Fairy. Not so great in this format, but you can play around that, you can support that. It has nice immunities to normal and fighting, and it has great resistances because of that. Well, kind of both the Ghost and the Dragon typing to Poison, Bug, Fire, Water, Grass and Electric. Some really nice resistances there. So that is the original form. Now we will move on to its alternative form, which is Giratina O. Giratina O is accessible by giving it the Grisius Orb. And once you give it that, it still keeps its Ghost Dragon typing, but does have the ability Levitate. It takes away pressure and gets Levitate, which is really nice. It has that base stat total of 680 again, distribution this time of 150 HP, 120 attack, 100 defense, 120 special attack, 100 special defense and 90 speed. So it kind of just switches the attack and defensive stats around to the original Giratina build and swaps them with the attack stats here. So you can see it's still going to be very bulky. You know, the 150 HP, 100 defense, 100 special defense are nothing to kind of scoff at, really. You know, very strong, going to be very bulky still, but it has that increased attack power. It got the same speed stat total, same weaknesses, same resistances, but an extra immunity in ground. So very nice overall. And one thing about the Grisius Orb is that it not only changes your ability to levitate, it not only changes your form, changes the stats, but it also gives you a 20% boost on top of any Dragon and Ghost type attacks. So it just makes it even stronger, which is really appealing to use. So they're the quick overviews of the two forms of Giratina that you can use. It's a very cool Pokemon as well. I've not really mentioned this. It's like it's one of those Pokemon that you like. It was just so solid back in 2010. It was just so good. There was no fairy typing back then as well, so you can imagine without any fairy types to really check this thing. And dark types weren't very common either. You know, you had Tyranitar and that was about it, just Tyranitar. So outside of that, Giratina had a pretty easy time back in the 2010 days, so plenty of checks now. So we'll move on to some sample sets as we do. So the first sample set we're going to take a look at is with the original Giratina form. We're going to be looking at the weakness policy set. So we've went for Quiet Nature, EV spread of 156 HP, 228 defense, 84 special attack, and 36 special defense. We've not got any speed investment here, and the reason why we went wide is because we've got kind of a mixed set here, and you don't want to be reducing the attack power. So the one thing you can reduce on Giratina, because it's so bulky, is really its speed. It doesn't really care too much about the speed on this set. You know, you have to worry about being doubled into, but if you support it right, and we'll look at partnering Pokemon later on in the guide, you can really make such good use of this Pokemon. We've went for a moveset of Protect, Tailwind there to support the rest of the team, which is always a nice option. You know, if you're not in a position to do damaging attacks and things like that, then you've always got the option of Speed Control, which is never something that you need to worry about having on your team. It's not a waste of a slot. It does support the rest of your team, so it's always a good option. The attacking moves, I've went for Draco, Meteor, or Thunder, and that will depend on your team build and what options you've got. I'll go into some calcs in a minute, and it might kind of sway you a little bit in that sense. And then the last move, we've got Shadow Force. Of course, you could go Shadow Ball there if you want to just go full special, but I feel like Shadow Force is just a really nice option on it, because it gives you the ability to hit through protects, and it also gives you immunity at least for one turn from attacks. So it is a very strong move. Looking at some EV like calculations here, you know, this set survives a Jolly Life Orb 252 attack Yveltal knockoff, which is insane. And the reason I put Thunder on here is because you can KO 4 HP Yveltal back with a +2 Thunder with that 84 special attack investment and the Quiet Nature, which is pretty nice. So you can kind of trade the knockoff for a KO, and if you've got something like Kyogre as a partner for Giratina, then you're guaranteed not to miss with the Thunder and definitely get that KO as long as it's not too heavily defensively invested. You're going to survive a timid 252 special attack Fairy Aura boosted Moonblast from a Xerneas, which is always very nice. It also survives a Moongeist Beam from a 252 special attack Lunala, and does KO in return with a +2 Shadow Force through the Shadow Shield, which is crazy. So that is huge, isn't it? Which is really nice. So in general, like, they're the big threatening attacks, and it takes all of them, so it's going to take like everything else pretty easily. So it's a nice set to experiment with, to play around with, to get you kind of dip your feet in the water almost if you want to start playing around with this thing, and it can be very threatening if supported right. So that is the first sample set. We're going to move on to Giratina O next as a sample set. So the problem with Giratina O, and especially going through this guide, is, you know, you go through the sample sets and you kind of interchange the items that kind of complement the spreads, the nature, the moveset, and everything like that. One problem Giratina O has is it is really tied to that Gracious Orb, so you can't really change that at all. So you've not got as many options to play around with it as you have with the original form. So we went for this is the Shadow Force bulky physical attacker that I've coined the name. Went for an Adamant Nature, EV spread of 172 HP, 76 attack, 4 defense, 252 special defense, and 4 speed. So Protect, Tailwind, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Will-O-Wisp or Roar, your options there, and Shadow Force as well for the big attacking move. This allows you to survive a timid 252 special attack Choice Specs, Lunala and Moongeist Beam, which is insane. And then again you KO in return through the Shadow Shield with Shadow Force because of that, the Gyarados boost and the attack investment that you've got there. So it's really nice trade-off there. You survive a timid 252 special attack Fairy Aura boosted Moonblast from Xerneas again, which is always very good, and a modest 252 special attack Kyogre Water Spout in rain with full health, does 27 to 32% damage. So just giving you an idea of the kind of bulk this thing carries around with it, and it's going to be able to easily two-shot the Kyogre back in return. So really nice option here, and another just way to kind of play it if you want to go down a more offensive kind of with the bulk as well route, I guess. Next set we're going to look at is a Misty Seed set. I really like the Misty Seed on Giratina. It is the original form, obviously, because as we've said, the Gyarados ties it to the Giratina O form, its alternative form. So here we've got the Misty Seed as the item. Nature is going to be Calm, and we'll just remind you, if you're not going a physical attacking a variant of Giratina, it's always worth having 0 attack IV on it for things like foul play, especially from Yveltal. You just want to be reducing that damage wherever possible, and you're reducing that damage and with the seed and proccing it hopefully before you get hit by knockoffs and stuff like that, you're reducing that damage as well. So it's just supporting the Giratina the whole time and making it a lot easier to kind of play around with and be more flexible and optimal as well, I guess are the words there. So the EV spread 188 HP, 160 defense, 60 special attack, 116 special defense and 4 speed. Again, we're not really worrying about speed too much on it because it's so bulky. It's going to be able to take a combination of attacks and easily be able to maneuver around even the more threatening things in the format. We've got protect. I've got a choice of, because it can be really flexible, its movesets, it's got so much support, so many support options, so many offensive options, and it really does just depend on what would fit your team best. So this is something that's like an underlying theme in a lot of these guides, really looking at your team and what moves will really suit the whole team build best, and that's one of the things that you're going to have to really look at if you are playing Giratina, because it's got so many variations and options that you can use it. So we've got protect. I'd say that's probably a good staple on most Giratina sets. I've got raw as an option because of one of the huge calcs that you can take here. Survives a timid +2, 252 special attack, or fairy aura boosted moonblast from a Xerneas. So that boosted Xerneas, Geomancy Xerneas moonblast, you're able to take that with the Misty Seed boost, the calm nature and the EV spread. So that is pretty nice. So raw is an option here. You can take that and you can roar it away and get rid of those boosts. Now it's kind of not massively optimal doing that because your Giratina is probably going to be, if you haven't got heal pulse support or something like that, then you're going to be in a position where your Giratina is going to be like picked off pretty quickly by the opponent's kind of Pokemon left on the field and things like that. But it is an option there. You've got Tailwind, you've got Calm Mind. Calm Mind's quite a nice option there to further boost your special defense, special attack as well. Will-O-Wisp to neuter those physical type attackers, and Destiny Bond as well, because you're going to be able to take big attacks. If you're taking a little bit of chip and you get a Destiny Bond off, then it's always nice, and you could always interchange and run Destiny Bond Tailwind. So first turn you can Destiny Bond, next turn you know you're going to be slower than the majority of things on the field, so you can guarantee a Tailwind or guarantee taking something down with you, a bit like how Mimikyu operates with its Destiny Bond Trick Room set. So in Giratina, with no speed investment or very little speed investment, can utilize that quite well within this format. The next options are Aurora Sphere, very nice option, hits fighting types, normal types as well, which kind of otherwise would wall you with just your ghost type attacks. Earth Power is a very nice attack in this format, hits things like Dialga, Tapu Koko, the majority of ground weak Pokemon, Incineroar, etc., as well as Aura Sphere there. Dragon Pulse as well, just another stab option, and then Thunder again if you're running something like Kyogre and you need the extra electric stab. And then Shadow Ball, I would say, is another staple on this, just to have some sort of stab attack as well to hit your opponents with. Right. Next sample set, we're going to look at another Giratina All sample set. It's going to be a special variant of this Girasorb, or if I'm even saying it right, who knows, but it's a, you know what, it's a Giratina All set, it's a special set. We're going with the Modest Nature here. We've got an EV spread of 164 HP, 76 defense, 188 special attack, 76 special defense and 4 speed. Again, not really worrying about the speed stat too much. If you are concerned about that, then you've got the option to Tailwind. We've got Protect, Calm Mind, Tailwind, either Aurora Sphere, Draco Meteor and Shadow Ball there. So there's not really too much to say on this set. It kind of operates a lot like the others. It is very bulky. It's going to take all your standard stuff like Xerneas Moonblast before the boosts. It'll take anything from Yveltal that it wants to throw out at you. Just remember that, you know, it would be good in this set as well to just make sure, if you can, go for a 0 attack IV as well, just to kind of optimize things as well. The Aurora Sphere and Shadow Ball give you really nice coverage as well. You're going to be hitting the majority of things in the format, and not much can kind of completely wall those attacks. So very good. And a Draco Meteor, if you want, it's always an option to just have a big nuke, especially if Tapu Fini's not a thing, and you know you've got other checks to fairies as well. It's a very nice option. Next sample set we are going to look at is another seed set, but it's going to be the electric seed set, and it's going to be that original Giratina form. The speed investment here, actually I'll come to that in a minute, but we're going to go with a bold nature. We've got 36 HP, 116 defense, 4 special attack, 116 special defense, and 236 speed. So we've got protect, calm mind. Again, you could put tailwind here if you wanted, but I feel like calm mind's actually really like way more optimal on this set. Because you've got the defensive boost, and then with the calm mind you get the special defensive boost, and with that right support this can really do a lot of damage to your opponent. Again, you can kind of choose between Aurora Sphere, Earth Power, Dragon Pulse, Thunder, but I would keep Shadow Ball on there as an option for Giratina just for big stab damage. Speed investment, like I was saying at the very start of this sample set, speed investment hits 140 speed stat. Now that allows you to outspeed things like max speed Smeagol, so if you are running tailwind you can guarantee that tailwind off, and it's just going to creep a lot of other stuff. It's like middling speeds here. If you've got Icy Wind support, it's going to be able to outspeed things like all base 130s after one Icy Wind drop from a partnering Pokemon onto the opponent's Pokemon, things like that. This does survive a Timid Xerneas 252 attack, Fairy Aura boosted Moonblast, like the rest of the sets pretty much do. I think it's a pretty important calc, and also survives the Lunala Boongeist Beam as well. So that it's all very like the samey, but I do like the option of the electric seed. Obviously the one bonus there is the knockoff, is not going to be doing any damage to you at all really after the defensive boost, and you lose your item as well, so it just increases Giratina's strength. Right, we looked at some sample sets, let's look at some partners. So we've got probably one of my favorite partners. Doesn't seem really that optimal, but I will explain my reasoning behind it. So Smeagol is one of my favorite partners for Giratina. It has the Moody ability, I'd say it's probably its best ability, and typing normal type. So it has that fake out support, which allows Giratina room to set up tailwinds, calm minds, all sorts of shenanigans, even shadow forcing in that turn 1 situation. The big key here is its normal typing and the access to follow me. So ghost types are really threatening to Giratina. Dog types are, obviously fairy types are as well. The majority of the big damaging attacks from these types are going to be single targets, and Smeagol has that follow me to pull those away. It also has Wide Guard for the other attacks that are spread moves, so you've got really good support options with Smeagol here, and then that Spore support as well. So I just think it's incredible, like so good, especially against, if you're facing down against Lunala. I mean, you can just pull away those Moongeist beams, or you put the Lunala in a position where it's not really sure whether it can go for it or not because of the threat of follow me, and then you can use that to your advantage to either switch out, or if you're feeling ballsy, at least in that situation, you can switch out. But you've got a lot of options with Smeagol. It is one of my favourite supporting members for Giratina, not one that you see very often, but one that I really feel is worth mentioning because I do feel like it's a very strong pairing. Next partnering Pokemon is going to be Tapu Koko. Obviously, if you're playing that electric seed set, you're going to need the electric terrain, it's essential. Again, like always, it's a fast pivot with Volt Switch to help reposition, board position for yourself, get something in that supports Giratina a little bit better than Tapu Koko and that specific situation, etc. It's got excellent ability to check Yveltal with the electric and the fairy typing, and that fairy typing also really complements the dragon weakness for Giratina. If you're threatened by a dragon type attack, you can always switch in Tapu Koko, which is immune to it, so very nice partner for Giratina in general. And then I've kind of combined Giratina and Giratina all here again because it's kind of along the same lines as what Smeagol does, but Amoonguss does a pretty similar job. That redirection is the big thing here, to pull away those threatening dark, ghost and fairy type attacks, to allow Giratina room to set up to just get some attacks off, just to protect it and make its longevity go a bit further, its efficiency to go a bit further. The fairy resist for nice defensive offensive synergy, as well as there for Amoonguss with that poison typing. It's going to be a good trick room check as well, something that Giratina might not enjoy so much, and also that Spore support as well. So again, always a very good option and a good partner. A very popular partner for Giratina as well in the current format stats at the moment. We've got Incineroar for our next one. Surprise, surprise! What guide has not got Incineroar with? And it was funny the other day, I was reading a tweet from Marcus Yoshi, who said you could probably stick Incineroar with any restricted Pokemon in this format, it would probably be alright, but I think sometimes you have to be a bit mindful, because I don't think there's probably other optimal partners to these restricted Pokemon outside of Incineroar, but you can't deny it is a bit of the king of the format at the minute, and I have to include it because it does support Giratina really well, and there is logic behind it, so why not? Obviously we know what it is. It's an Intimidate supporter, it's that Fire Dog type, and it's got Fake Out support, which is just like we've said all along, very good to support Giratina, help it set up those Tailwinds, Calm Minds, etc. like that. The Dark Fire typing really helps for opposing Ghost threats as well. It just gives you another outlet for that, another switch in for that, another switch in for Dark type threats that are coming into Giratina, especially Giratina O as well is a nice switch in for Incineroar as well, so the defensive synergy is really there for those ground type attacks that can threaten that. The Intimidate support is obvious, just for physical threats and things like that, and again we've mentioned the excellent defensive synergy that both this pairing have together. So that is that. We'll not go into much more detail with the Incineroar, because we all know all about that little cat Pokemon right now, or the big cat we should say. Another partner that I'd really like to mention, this one specifically with Giratina O, and it's mainly due to that Levitate ability, is Nihilego. Nihilego, Beast Boost ability, Poison Rock type, but I really think this pairing has a lot of legs in it. I think this has a lot of potential. The Rock typing here obviously threatens two of the biggest threats to Giratina in Yveltal and Incineroar. The Poison typing is excellent to check and KO those fairy threats that do threaten its Dragon typing of Giratina. Like we've mentioned, the Levitate ability is just a nice defensive switch for Nihilego, which gives that a bit of protection in return. And you've got both Trick Room and Tailwind support between the pair, which gives such flexible options for the rest of your team and these two Pokemon as well. So lots of options there, and I really do like this pairing a lot. And if we ever see Giratina rise in popularity, I would probably think Nihilego will be something that like a lot of players will kind of revert to and pick up on. Just very strong in general. And the final partner we're going to look at is Tapu Fini, another popular partner, especially with just the original form of Giratina at the moment, mainly for the terrain support to help proc the seed, the Misty Seed on it for that Misty Seed set, and it also gives it protection from status conditions as well, which is always very good, because Giratina sometimes goes physical and you do not want to get burned, and you certainly do not want to get spored either. That's something every Pokemon wants to try and avoid. And there's the other option as well with running Tapu Fini. If you've got the terrain up, you can go for Swagger setup and Abuse to boost the attack power of Giratina if you want to go down a more defensive route and not worry about any sort of weakness policy boosting there. You've got the Swagger to help boost there. The Fairy typing is obvious to support the Dark type weaknesses that Giratina has, and there's nice support options all around with Tapu Fini, like the things like Heal Pulse, help you keep longevity, heal all that health back that you may be lost while you're setting up, etc. It's got Haze as well, which is a nice option to get rid of any stat boosts, namely Xerneas and things like that, and Icy Wind as well for extra speed control to just support like Giratina, like one of the sets we looked at earlier on where we hit that 140 base speed. So lots of options there, and a nice support option as well. Tapu Fini, I do really like this pairing as well. Right, they're all the pairings. Now let's move on to the threats and counter table. So it's obvious all day long. We've got fairy types threaten it heavily. Tapu Koko going to threaten with Dazzling Gleam. It's its main kind of fairy type attack. You've got to be careful with that. Choice Specs, Life Orb sets can be very threatening to Giratina. Now you're going to be able to do a lot of damage back with the Shadow Force, Ghost type attacks, but Tapu Koko can be sashed as well, so it can take those attacks, get at least 2 Dazzling Gleams off. And if you single target and it's Life Orb or Choice Specs, then a lot of the time you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Tapu Lele is another one. It doesn't like taking those Ghost type attacks at all, but it's going to have access to Moonblast, and you know, if Xerneas is around with the Fairy Aura boost and there's Life Orb involved in that, Giratina again is going to have a bit of a hard time. Tapu Fini, I'd say probably the hardest of the lot to deal with, because it's just sheer defensive capabilities over the other two, and its ability to Calm Mind as well and throw out those Moonblasts consistently against Giratina. So That's a very good check against it. And then the big bad everyone is going to be Xerneas. Obviously gives Giratina nightmares and not the other way around like you would expect. Xerneas is just such a good check to it and just such a big threat to it. You need to ensure if you're playing Giratina you've got solid checks to these fairy types, because they will cause you havoc. And just run through the options that Giratina has. Dog types are going to be the next ones. Obviously Incineroar, Yveltal, Tyranitar, just a few to name, all going to threaten Giratina, and for the most part Giratina is not going to be able to damage them sufficiently back. There is the option of Aurora Sphere, but Yveltal takes neutral damage from that and has access to Sucker Punch, has access to Foul Play, all going to be doing big damage, especially that knockoff. You've got to be so scared of that. Tyranitar has options like Assurance as well, so you can double into the Giratina and deal with it pretty easily that way. And like I say, you're going to need good checks to these Pokemon. Next is Ghost typing. Ghost types obviously threaten Ghost types and vice versa. Even though you can hit them for good damage, they're all going to be Ghost types, and the majority of them are going to be faster than you or just as defensively built and able to take attacks and then do big damage in return. So Drifblim is one of those Pokemon with its normal electric or psychic seed boost there. It's going to be able to take combinations of attacks from Giratina pretty well, especially with Intimidate support. If you do go down a more physical route and throw out things like Will-O-Wisp, Shadow Ball, and just, you know, even match Tailwinds and things like that, just be a bit of a nuisance. Gengar's normally sashed, and I'm sure 2 Shadow Balls will easily pick up the KO on Giratina. You've got Lunala, we've looked at that. If you haven't got sufficient defense investment, Lunala can be a real issue. And if you haven't got the right support behind it, then it will be able to just pick up the 2-hit KO, even if you have calced for it. So a big threat again. And Aegislash is one of those other Pokemon that you commonly see weakness policy on, so we'll be able to take any Ghost type attack from Giratina pretty comfortably, get that weakness policy boost and throw back a big Shadow Ball in return, which will pick up the KO in most situations. And then you've got Dragon types as well, which will cause Giratina a lot of issues. You've got Palkia and Dialga. Dialga more because of its Steel type and neutral to those opposing Dragon type attacks coming back onto it, and able to throw out Dragon type attacks onto Giratina, which it does not want to be facing down against. Palkia again, it will outspeed Giratina most of the time, has Spatial Rend, has Draco Meteor, normally carries boosting items like Life Orb, Choice Specs, so you've got to be very wary around that. That's where your redirection Pokemon come in extremely handy. Other dragons as well, just to throw in and give a mention to, Zekrom and Reshiram, pretty similar to Palkia in respect that they will be probably quite fast, probably quite offensive, and you don't want to be eating Draco Meteors from either of these two Pokemon. But that wraps everything up, guys, in this Giratina guide. It's been a bit up and down because we've had to look at 2 forms, which is kind of new to these sort of guides, but I hope it flowed well and I hope it made sense, and I really hope that you have enjoyed it. Do remember, if you have enjoyed it, to leave a like, leave your comments down below. I do really enjoy hearing your comments on these guides, and any feedback and things like that is really appreciated. Make sure you do check out the other guides in our playlist, and we'll be back for another guide very soon. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching, guys. Take care of yourselves, and until the next time, I will see you later. So until then, bye bye.